Welcome back to Legal Lines. I'm Locke Meredith. Again, pleased to have on the show Betsy Irvine. Betsy, your company is Yowza, and it designs and develops websites.
Yes, Yowza Design does graphic, print, and web.
Okay, so we kind of talked about as I understand it, there's the look of the website, and then there's the development, kind of the creative, the colors, and how it's going to look on everybody's going to a home page, and you got your title bar and the pictures and whatever. But then there's more of a technical development side. Let's shift to that.
Okay.
So tell me what's done in the development. Once you've gotten the okay on what the website, at least the home page, is going to look like from your customer, what happens in the development side?
Then we start dealing with code. So we have to code it where it's going to be responsive. So what that means is it will respond to the screen size. So if the screen is this big, everything shrinks. So a fluid, flexible design is ideal.
So, for example, folks have a desktop or these giant screen things, but it's got to be able to look pretty daggone well on a little bitty tiny iPhone or something.
Yes, it needs to be able to adapt.
Okay.
You wouldn't want to use gray text on a white background. It would be hard to read for some people.
Okay. And so how does that take place? I mean, is that,
well,
when you say coding, is that basically the language of computers?
Yes, the language on the web is HTML. Everything stems from that. There's also PHP, which is more database driven. But then you also have CSS, which makes all the pretty stuff, and JavaScript, which does your special things.
Okay. Is there a different kind of code for the graphic kind of video type stuff, or is it?
It's the same code.
It's a manipulation of one of those? Okay. So you've got that component done. What is the next step in development? You've coded it. What is the next step? Because I'm lost when you talk about this stuff.
We just start coding the site, and we build the first page, and then once we have it looking the way we want it to, then we do special styles for each scenario of a screen size.
Okay. So, and that's when you're talking about the responsiveness of it.
Yes.
So bottom line is you want whatever's showing up on the big computer to be absolutely pretty much what you see on a smaller device.
Yes, and if you had a very large picture for a large screen, it's a good idea to make a very small copy of that could be used for the mobile version so that that person's not eating up all their bandwidth.
And I understand that Google pretty much runs the internet world because of its search engine, right?
Google is bigger than all other search engines combined.
Okay. I'd read somewhere that it was like 90% of the market, or it's just enormous. And so they pretty much, as I understand it, dictate certain features of a website. Is that right? Okay. So what are those features? Responsiveness is one, right?
Responsiveness is huge. They are now rewarding responsive sites by putting them higher on the search engine results than non-responsive sites.
Okay. What other factors?
The age of your site, how popular is your site, how relevant is the content, how many sites are linking to your site, how big are those sites, how relevant are those sites?
All right, let's slow that down and kind of repeat it.
Okay.
All right. Really, when it's all said and done, what you want if you have a website is if somebody does a search and their search is related to your business or service or your issue, you want them to see your website.
Yes.
And the only way, as I understand it statistically, they're going to possibly look at your website is if you pop up on the first page, right? I don't know what the stats were, but it was like 95% of folks aren't going to click to the next page. So if you're not on the first page, highly unlikely you're going to reach other people, right? And so when you are listing those various factors that Google has in deciding where a website's going to pop, or how high on the page, or if it's going to be on the first page, really what we're talking about is the ranking.
Yes.
Okay. So explain to folks how they always make themselves pop up on the first page.
Well, there's two listing types. There's paid listings, and then there's what are called organic listings.
Okay, let's talk about paid's simple.
They paid to be there.
You pay Google some money.
They paid anywhere from 25 cents to $20 for every click.
And as I understand it, there's an auction that takes place that's nanoseconds response time, and there's literally bidding for, say, example, injury lawyer
Yes.
or injury attorney. And you got attorneys from all over either the U.S. or the state or even the city bidding for that word, and the highest bidder gets the word, and how do they pay?
Well, you have to load money in your account first. That's Google AdWords, by the way, and you can set your max bid. So if you wanted injury attorney, you could say, I'm willing to pay up to $5, but if it gets higher than that, let me out of the race. You can also say, I'm only wanting to spend $500 a month. Once my money's out for that month, I'm out of the race.
Okay, so you limit your exposure to
Yes.
that whole process. And do they charge you, what, $5 per click?
Yes.
Okay.
Now that click is not necessarily a customer. It could be your competitor going to check out your website, and you just paid to have them visit your website.
And that's billed on a monthly basis? Okay, and it's based on basically a credit card amount that you set, okay. So bottom line is you can buy your placement on the first page.
Yes.
Now, as I understand it, and I personally experienced this, those type of placements on the first page are not viewed as often as the organic.
People tend
first
to
page
ignore
placement.
those because they don't want to be sold to. It's usually the first three, and it will say sponsored ad.
Right, so you know if somebody's paid to be on the first page, and statistically, you're more likely to have your website clicked if you don't pay for it, and you, the term is organically earn
Yes.
your way, so to speak, on the first page, right?
Organic hits are the holy grail. That's what everybody's after.
Okay, and I know over the years as I've had to grow accustomed to dealing with this whole website stuff, it's kind of morphed, it's changed. Again, Google runs the world in this context. And it used to be that they had some kind of a logarithm or something that looked at all kinds of different factors. Nobody knew exactly what they were. And you paid people lots of money to try and make your website end up on the first page. And nobody would promise you it would get there, but they'd try their best type of stuff.
Right.
Has that changed?
It's still there, and the algorithms still exist, and they change all the time. It would take a full-time crew to stay on top of those algorithms as they change. Really, the best thing you can do is have content that's relative and an attractive, easy to use, mobile friendly website with several backlinks.
All right, so let's kind of go through those factors, but let's rank them. So what's the number one thing that Google is now looking at when it uses its formula to decide where you're going to be and if you're ever going to get to the first page?
I do not know which one is the number one. All of the things that I listed you are probably in the top 10, but there are probably more out there because, like I said, they change it all the time.
Okay, well, you said the age of a website.
Yes.
Okay, how is the age of a website determined? Just the date that
How
they
long
got
you've
their-
had the website.
Okay, and they know that just by the fact of
By
it's a
the
store.
purchase date of the original domain name.
Okay, what is the next thing? The number of external links that come to your site.
That is
Explain
also
to folks
important.
what that is.
Like if you have, I'm sure you've seen, you search for a company and their Facebook page is higher than their website. That's because Facebook is so popular.
Okay, we'll continue this on the next segment. This is Locke Meredith Legal Lines, Betsy Irvine. We're talking about website development, marketing. We'll be right back.
It's time now for Legal Lines Tips with your host, Locke Meredith.
Hello, I'm Locke Meredith with a Legal Lines tip for you. Document your claim. What do I mean? Whenever you present a claim, whether it's for injuries in an automobile collision or for a breach of contract case or a business claim, it all boils down to documentation and evidence. For example, when you go to trial, basically both sides are presenting their evidence of what they believe to be their case. For example, also, if you're involved in an automobile collision, document the event. Talk to all the parties who are involved. Get their names, address, contact information, insurance info. Talk to the witnesses on the scene. Also get their contact information. Take photographs. With the phones we all have these days, everybody can take a picture and that paints 1,000 words. So document your claim. The Legal Lines tip from me, Locke Meredith, to you is document the claim.
This has been Legal Lines Tips.